Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment of the Township of Union, which is being held pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Law, C-231, Laws of New Jersey, dated 1975. Notice of this meeting was advertised in the local source, the newspaper of record, and notice has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building adjacent to the municipal clerk's office. Roll call.
Mr. Wiley is absent. Ms. Martins.
Here.
Mr. Benavanga.
Present.
Ms. Scott.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. McNeil. Mr. Graves is absent. Ms. Ricketts. And Mr. Champy.
Here, there being a quorum present, this meeting is now declared open. Are there any communications?
There are no communications, Mr. Chairman.
Then our first order of business this evening will be the adoption of a resolution for calendar number 3451 J. Mendez, located at 2346 Springfield Avenue, Block 4707, Lot 14.01. Applicant wished to construct an addition with insufficient setbacks. Board members, you've all had a chance to read the resolution. At this time, are there any board members that would like to comment, make changes or modifications to the resolution as it has been written? Hearing none, may I have a motion and a second?
Mr. Chairman, I move that this board adopt the resolution as written and as accurately memorializing the previous findings of this board.
Roll call.
Ms. Martins.
Yes.
Mr. Benavanga.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. McNeil. Mr. Champy.
Yes. Our next order of business, again, is an adoption of a resolution for calendar number 3454 Overcomers ABA Services, LLC, located at 1370 Morris Avenue, Block 1303, Lot 7 and 29, Office and Training Center for ABA instructors with on-site parking. Again, board members, you've all had a chance to read the resolution. At this time, are there any members that would like to comment, make changes or modification to this resolution as it has been written? Hearing none, may I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I move that this board adopt the resolution as written and as accurately memorializing the previous findings of this board.
Second the motion.
Roll call.
Mr. Benavanga.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Martins.
Yes.
Mr. McNeil. Mr. Champy.
Yes. Our next order of business is calendar number 3453. Location is 809 Valley Street, LLC, Block 4801, Lot 20.02. Applicant wishes to construct a one-story storage garage. Counselor?
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. Natasha Montalvo on behalf of the applicant, 809 Valley Street, LLC. We are here, sorry, this is really loud. We are here seeking a D1 use variance. The applicant is seeking to construct a 2,400 square foot garage. I just want to clarify, there might be some confusion. It is not going to be a commercial garage. The applicant lives on the property next door, and it's basically an oversized residential garage. He has other items that don't fit in his current garage, like lawnmower, outdoor water sport activities, extra cars. He just wants to build a garage where he can store his items that anybody keeps in their garage at home. Because it's a standalone property on its own, a garage is not a principal permitted use, so that's why we're seeking a D1 variance. And with that being said, I would like to call our first witness, if there are no preliminary questions.
Just for the record, Council and Chairman and board members, I did mark A1, the application, as it was submitted with the supporting materials. A2 is the site plans prepared by Mantera. Design consists of 2 pages, so that's A2. And A3 is the architectural drawings of Jose Gennaro, dated November 26, 2024, also 2 sheets. So A1 through A3 for the record. Can I ask the witness to swear or affirm that the testimony you can provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
And for the record, could you state and spell your name with your business affiliation?
Sure. Legal name is Giovanni, Giovanni. Last name Manilio, Manilio. The site engineer with Manterra Design, street address of 62 Grove Street, Somerville, New Jersey.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you go ahead and give the board your credentials?
Sure. So I have a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Syracuse University. I've been licensed in the state for the past 16 years, licensed in good standing, testified in front of numerous boards and in front of this board.
The board will accept his credentials.
Thank you.
Go ahead if you can take us through the site plan.
Sure.
please.
So I think we're left off at Exhibit A4. So I have one new exhibit for tonight entitled 809 Valley Street LLC aerial exhibit with today's date, as shown on the screen, which is an aerial of the vicinity with the property highlighted in yellow. So as mentioned, the property is highlighted in yellow in the middle. It's known as Block 4801, Lot 20.01, located in the RA Residential A zone. As you can see, the property is a flag shape with approximately 56 feet of frontage along Valley Street, and then along the rear there is approximately 136 feet of width. The property is approximately 355 feet deep from Valley Street to the boundary and municipal boundary line. Currently, the property, I'm not sure how visible it is on this, yes it is, this aerial. There is a gravel driveway that leads to the back of the site with a larger gravel, I guess, parking area, and then two kind of like sea containers in the back. And as condition of this approval, we will remove those two containers. And as you can see, that's being utilized for storage right now. If this application does get approved, those containers will be removed, and items from there will be moved into the garage. So we did review some historic aerials. So it does appear that this property was actually used for storage since the 60s, some surface storage. So we're not sure exactly what the storage was, but looking at the aerials, there was always some type of gravel or pavement or some type of storage on the lot itself. Property is also unique that it's located in the RA zone, but it's surrounded by numerous different uses. So directly to the east and west along Valley Street, they're both residential properties. As you go to the rear of the site, there are actually more of a storage or construction storage lots on either side. You do have the Audi dealership in their parking lot further to the north, to the east, with a portion of it being in Milburn. And then across the street there is residential and also a church located there as well. The site is generally flat as you go from Valley Street till you get to pretty much, I would say, 2/3 of the site. And then once you get from there to the east branch of the Broadway River, it does dip down approximately 8 feet. So it does dip down at the back once it goes to the embankment of the river. The property is also located in a flood hazard area with a flood elevation of, or designed flood elevation of 101.3. And that, not shown on this plan, but on our site plans, that flood elevation pretty much comes to the, the flag staff of the lot, essentially where my cursor is right here. And that kind of limits what the site could be utilized. As you can't have residential located in a flood hazard area below the flood elevation. Commercial kind of makes sense, or some type of non-habitable storage space makes sense for this property. I will now turn to our site plans. The ones that were submitted as part of the application. Not sure what's going on here. It's loading or... So what's being proposed, is shown here in the gray in the middle of the screen, is the proposed one-story, 2,400 square foot private garage. A portion of it, approximately half of it, will be over the existing gravel area, and the other half will be in the current lawn area. As mentioned earlier, this will be used for private storage for residential purposes. So speaking to the applicant, the type of items stored in the garage would be vehicles, cars, jet skis, lawn equipment, and him and his brother do have a boat as well, so there might be a boat that's stored in the garage as well. As far as the bulk standards are concerned, the property and the proposal that's being proposed conforms with all the bulk requirements in the zone. The only request that we're asking for is for the use of storage, which cannot be utilized in this zone as a principal use, which we are proposing as a principal use. Additionally, we are showing designation for 3 parking spaces because there is an area in front of the garage. We thought it would make sense to designate where somebody could park if they are on the gravel. And if you read the code, really the requirement for a storage building, only 1 parking space is required. We're proposing 3, but essentially it's not going to be striped. We're just showing designated where those parking spaces would be. since it is gravel. I believe your board engineer also had mentioned that an ADA space is required. We don't believe an ADA space is required, given the use. It's a private residential garage. It's not open to the public. It's not a commercial use. And so there is an exception in the IDC for what it says is detached 1 and 2 family dwellings, their accessory structures, and their associated sites and facilities, which we would classify this as an associated site or associated accessory structure that's tied to, I've mentioned earlier, Mr. Aquino or the applicant's residential lot is located right here, directly to the west of the property. Additional improvements that we are proposing a dry well in the rear of the building, shown right here, and that's to capture any increase in impervious coverage. It's a minor increase. It's not considered a major development, so that's been designed to capture the roof leaders from the proposed garage. Additionally, we are proposing 2 light fixtures, one over the garage door and one over the man door, mounted at 10 feet, and they're going to be building mounted. This picture loads up. There's a picture of the light fixture. It shines straight down, so it doesn't shine out towards the neighbors. Not sure why it's not loading, but if you give it a second, it'll probably load. And we did do, like I said, light calculations, and the limit of the illumination is solely within the gravel area. It doesn't go past the gravel area. It doesn't go to any neighbor's properties as far as the illumination. Lastly, we are going to be submitting, we haven't submitted to DEP yet, since this is a use variance. We wanted to verify that we could get the approvals from the local board first, but as a condition of approval, we will be submitting to DEP for a flood hazard permit. The project has been designed with flood vents, so the building is not habitable, so per DEP's regulations, as long as you allow the water to come in and out and not displace any flood volume, you're permitted to do so, and we have that designed properly to do that, and the structure will be designed to not obviously float during flood events. Also speaking with the applicant, I did think he spoke to, obviously this is just hearsay, but he did speak to his neighbors. In the past 40 years, they've never seen the water come up that high. But again, we'll comply with all DEP regulations. And that concludes my testimony.
Thank you. No further questions for this witness.
At this time, are there any board members that would like to question the testimony that Mr. Magnilio has provided?
I have a question. I have a question. How is this structure going to be built? Stick-built, modular-built?
I'm probably going to defer that to the architect. I'm not too sure.
We have our architect who can answer that.
Yeah.
I think my question may go toward the architect, talking about services to the facility.
Yep, I think he could speak to it. I believe, from my recollection, there will be no plumbing. If anything, it will be just electric.
Okay. So yeah, that's my question goes to.
Yep, he can verify it. That's my recollection from conversations.
Any other board questions? At this time, are there any members of the public that would like to question the testimony this witness has provided?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask you to, just his testimony. You can only question his testimony, not comment. Okay. Okay.
Can I ask the engineer, you're familiar with the professional reviews, both Collier's dated May 6th, and then the fire department has some pretty extensive comments.
Yeah, so as far as Collier's review letter, I believe we comply with everything. The only exception was the, I believe there's an exception in the IBC regarding ADA parking.
Right, I noted that for the record, but the fire department, you mentioned there's no plumbing. I don't know.
So the architect will testify to that.
Okay.
That's related to building code.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
But from an engineering perspective, other than the ADA space, which I would recommend to the board so long as the condition is that it's private and not a commercial use, probably is something that you could deem to be a waiver.
I have a quick question regarding the dry well. That's going to collect it. Did you size it, or is our engineering department going to size that?
We did size it, but it's
Okay.
going to be obviously up to the
Approved.
review and approval.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. That's going to collect all the rainwater and then dissipate into,
Correct, and any overflow would go towards the brook, not to the neighbors.
Okay, and one of the last questions I do have is, you said it's in a flood zone.
Correct.
Will it be built according to elevation? It might be raised a little bit, or?
No, so since this is a non-habitable building.
Okay.
There'll be flood vents. And
Yep.
those flood vents, there's a certain amount based on the square footage that allow the flood waters to come into the building. And then all the utilities would have to be raised and the electrical above the flood elevation as well.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sure. Want to just state your name and your address?
Thomasine Gray, Thomasene, Gray, Gray, 801 Valley Street in Vauxhall. You had mentioned that you were going to put in 3 parking spaces.
We're showing a designation for where 3 parking spaces can be, yes.
Okay, my concern is there are lots of trucks and cars back there now. Does that take into account that the parking that's there now, or are there just going to be 3 parking spaces, which means you can only park 3 cars?
No, I mean, that area can be utilized as the applicant's using it today, as long as.
So
it's-
what are the parking spaces for? If parking is going on already,
Right.
why would you have 3 additional parking spaces?
So by the code of the ordinance, there is a requirement that you do have to show at least 1 parking space. We showed more than 1 to show that we can comply with the requirement. Essentially, the idea is that most of the cars that are on site now will be parked inside the building, not outside.
No. That's not going to happen because 2 of them are car carriers. You can't park a car carrier in a garage.
So, yeah, I'm not too familiar with the car carrier. I could ask the applicant.
That's part of my concern, is that a lot of traffic is going on now. I live there.
Yeah.
I have to sit on my deck. I see trucks going in and out, and it's disruptive to my day. I want to make sure that I don't mind, I know that progress goes on, and I don't mind cars and trucks going in and out, but I don't want to see a car carrier or 2 going in and out past my deck when I'm trying to sit there and have a pleasant day. I just don't want to see that. So I want some restriction on the types of cars and trucks that
No,
are going in and
those are
out.
all fair questions, ma'am. This is Rob Pansul, the board attorney. I don't know if the engineer, are you going to put the representative on too? Because one of the comments of Collier's is, what exactly are you putting in this unit? And is it going to replace what the neighbors are looking at now that's sitting on the lot? You know, the understanding, as I read this, was you're building the structure to get some of that stuff into the structure, and then the neighbors don't have to look at what's on the lot anymore. Is that accurate, or?
Yes.
No, I don't mind, I don't even mind stuff on the lot right now. I just don't want to see big.
Right.
I noticed that on Valley Street, because it's a narrow street, when those car carriers come in, they have to stop traffic on both sides of the street just to turn the corner to get it in there. I don't mind trucks back there. I can't see a
No,
lot of them anyway. so I
you're
don't
getting the
care.
attention of the code enforcement officer.
Yeah, I was just going to
himself.
say,
Let me just chime in real quick. I spoke to the applicant. He said that the big car carrier trucks, those are not his, they're his friends. When the applicant was traveling abroad, the friend asked if he can park them there temporarily. They are not going to be there permanently. They're
Thank
not
you.
going to be parking there. And if you can put that in.
Yeah, no, I'm going to note for the
But
resolution.
that's not his car that will be there every day or anything like that.
I'm-
It's just a temporary agreement.
I'm taking what the engineer said. It's not a commercial use, which tells me, and I think the expectation is, the applicant who lives next door is going to be using this for his own
Correct.
personal purposes. He's not
Correct.
renting it out.
Correct.
You're not going to have a number of contractors dumping stuff that the neighbors would have to deal with, both visibly and then with traffic concerns and other details. So that's a good point, ma'am, and I've noted it for the record.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we're okay with those conditions. I did speak to the applicant before. No commercial use, no rentals, and no hazardous materials inside the building.
But her comment is a good one, you would have to admit.
Yes.
You know, it's an attractive situation for anybody. You know, space is at a premium for, we've dealt with it on other properties in this town, with people trying to store trucks and trailers, and there just ain't the land to do it, so
No,
it's
it's-
not easy. And a
it's
residential zone is not the
residential.
spot to do it.
Residential purposes only, no commercial use or anything
Good.
like that.
So noted for the record.
and I would say for the record that if the neighbors, Ms. Gray, you can always call the building department, and I will send somebody out to take a look if it's beyond what it should be.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to question the testimony this witness has provided? Hearing none, Counselor, your next witness.
Yes, I would like to call up the architect, Jose Gennaro.
Can I ask the witness to swear or affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
And for the record, could you state and spell your name with your business affiliation?
Sure. Jose Gennaro, Gennaro, and I'm a registered architect and planner in the state of New Jersey. My license is current. I have my own practice since 1995.
The board will accept his credentials.
Thank you.
Are you offering both architectural and planning testimony, or just
No,
architecture?
just architecture, though we
Okay.
have
We
a
have a
planner.
separate planner.
So noted.
Can you take us through the plans and the,
Sure.
thank you.
These are, what you have is the P1 of 2 is the elevations, actually. I wanted to get the floor plans first. There it is, okay. So what we're proposing is a 40 by 60 private garage, so 2,400 square feet. The question was asked us how we're going to build this. It's going to be a concrete slab, a concrete block foundation, and a 2 by 6 wall, framing, and trusses at 2 feet on center that will go span across the 40 feet, and that's so that we can have a column-free space. So that's, and we're going to have a center door, which is 12 by 8, to get into the vehicles into the garage with a window on each side, and then we'll have a regular man door on the left side of the garage and 3 windows on that side as well. So as far as the exterior, we have a combination of vinyl siding, fiberglass shingles for the roof, and we have some thin stone veneer on 2 of the sides, the left side and the front of the garage, which are the 2 sides that you would see as you approach it from the driveway or from my client's backyard. You'll be facing the garage. So we wanted to make sure that it was aesthetically pleasing, that it was just not a structure there. So we do have also, as I mentioned, flood vents because we are in a flood zone. That's about it.
Can you please address the fire comments that we received from the fire department?
Yes, as far as that, all I can say is we're going to comply with whatever code requirements are. As far as I'm concerned, sprinklers are not required for this kind of building and this size of building. If we, whatever we have to comply, we will, as far as the code.
Mr. Gennaro,
Only a 2,400 square feet building, it doesn't fall into, yes.
Mr. Gennaro, how you doing?
Good.
It's
How are you?
Anthony Manguso, the zoning officer and the construction official. How are you this evening?
Good.
I just wanted to ask you a question regarding
Yes.
the sprinkler system.
Mhm.
Will this building be heated?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Would this building be heated with heat?
No, there's no heating, there's no
Okay.
plumbing, that question came up too, there's no bathrooms, there's no plumbing at all, just lighting and that's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, then I would defer the comments of a sprinkler system back to the back to the engineering department and the fire department, because you could not put a wet system in or you will have a busted pipe if you're not
Right.
putting any,
That's correct.
if you're not putting any water coming into it, then we'd have a problem. If it's not heated, you'd freeze and have a problem. So I would ask to have that looked at thoroughly again between the fire, along with myself as the construction official, to talk about maybe other options.
Okay.
I think that's a fair approach. I'll note it as a condition because you can't ignore the fire department making comments as aggressively as they are. And one of the reasons they do it is it's unclear because it's not specified what's going to be stored in the garage. So if there's gasoline or other byproducts that are a concern for fire fighting, they have to know that. So I agree with Mr. Manguso. I'll reference it subject to an adequate follow-up with the fire department so they're comfortable amending their recommendation is quite clear. You're putting a sprinkler system in there. You're saying it's not required by code. You're saying Mr. Manguso's agreeing you might be okay with that, but let's just have the fire department get its fingerprints on that We can do it as a condition, just so long as you realize if there's some discrepancy with the fire department, it's going to require a return to the board if the board acts favorably on the application tonight.
And just to clarify, there will be no hazardous material, and we're willing to have that as a condition of.
Okay, I'll note that for the record, but you can even have a lawnmower or a machine that contains oil or gas. I think that's probably where the fire department's going. Now, no plumbing and no other situation to drive that is something that's important for the fire department to know. I sense Mr. Manguso probably is in agreement with that, but wants them to weigh in.
Yes, I would like for them to weigh in, because there's, obviously, Mr. Gennaro knows that there's also building codes that have to be followed, and if there's no heat in that building, and you put a sprinkler system in, you're gonna have busted pipes, and the water's constantly gonna run. So, it's something that needs to be looked at. Maybe they could bring a standpipe or something else in closer to the property to cut down, but I would defer that to fire, engineering, and myself, when, you know.
It sounds like it's a big shed, is that,
Pretty much,
it's not, and some lighting inside,
yeah,
a couple of exterior lights for, I guess, access.
correct.
One of the things Collier's asked, and I don't know if the architect is going to be the one to elaborate, when and what you're doing. Like, is this going to be limited? The neighbors don't have to worry about anything going on at odd hours, et cetera. Some kind of constraints on how it's being used, just so it doesn't become a problem 6 months from now.
So I just put up the a rendering, so you can get an idea what the colors that we're trying to match my client's home.
Can we mark this as
like I said,
A5,
we
sir?
wanted to-
A5, yeah, that's a rendering of what you're proposing?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Is that an actual, that's just a rendering, or that's something that you built elsewhere? It looks pretty good rendering.
Very nice. All right, continuing. Are there any board members that would like to question the testimony Mr. Gennaro has given?
Yeah, I do, Mr. Chairman, the lighting, will this shed have its own service, or is it going to be a line run from the primary residence?
No, I think it has to have its own service, because it's a separate lot, so I don't think we can take it from his house, right?
Well,
Yeah.
to answer some of the question, by code, it has to have electric
Right,
to the garage, because you have to provide a light and an outlet
right.
inside the garage, and that's for if you have a garage door, automatic garage door opener.
That's right. And we're
That's the
planning
new
to do
code.
that. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And exterior lighting also, like Mr. Manilio testified, we're going
Yes.
to have exterior lighting, so.
Which leads me to the second question, is there's going to be no repairs, so there'll be a simple 100 amp service there. It won't be a 220 amp service that can run any power equipment or any heavy duty repair equipment.
No, as far as I know, no, it's not the purpose of the garage. Yeah.
Just to clarify some things, everything that the applicant has outside right now is basically going to be inside the garage. He's not going to be working on things overnight or making loud noises. It's just like if you go home and you do something in your garage, it's just an extra garage for him to store things and use for his personal purposes only. I just wanted to clarify that on the record.
Thank you for the clarification. Any other board members?
I do have one question now
Sure.
that she just pointed that out. Because she just testified that there's a lot of cars in the backyard. So the cars will go where? Because they won't be going in the garage. So what will happen with that? They'll just be gone?
Well, I know I don't know what cars are actually there right now, but I know that the big trucks that were there will not be there anymore. If I can ask how many cars that are there now, but I know he has a jet ski outside, lawn equipment outside. All that stuff is going to be going in the garage, so it's not cluttered outside, out in the open.
Don't jet skis have gas?
Just like a car, yeah.
Oh, I mean, just going back to the fire comments then. Okay.
Any other board questions? Any members of the public that would like to question just the testimony Mr. Gennaro has provided? Hearing none?
Mr., I do have one question. You said the garage door is going to face the neighbor's house, which would be Mrs. Gray, correct?
Right.
Would south side, I believe that's the south side, I might be wrong. Okay. The street side, the driveway, so you're not, I guess where the gentleman is standing in the picture, you're not planning on doing any plantings, correct?
No, that's correct, yeah.
Okay, good, I just want to make sure, for security purposes.
Counselor, your next witness.
Yeah, I would like to call our planner, Catherine Gregory.
Can I ask the witness to swear or affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, I do.
And for the record, could you state and spell your name with your business affiliation?
Yes. Catherine Gregory. Catherine is actually spelled Kathryn, last name Gregory, Gregory. My business address is 96 Linwood Plaza, number 350 in Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Thank you. Can you provide your credentials to the board, please?
Yes, I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I've been licensed for 25 years. I'm a principal of Gregory Associates since the year 2007. I've represented boards throughout the state of New Jersey. I am currently the planner.
The board will accept her credentials.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you go ahead and provide the justification for the D1 use variance, please?
Yes, certainly. So we're here tonight to talk about a D1 use variance for a residential garage. We are located in the RA zone where a residential garage is actually permitted, just not as a principal use. So we're here tonight because we have this separate lot where we'd like to put basically an oversized residential garage, which was discussed this evening through the testimony from our prior witnesses. So under the purview of a D1 variance, we have to meet two types of criteria. One would be the positive criteria, and one would be the negative criteria. In terms of the positive criteria, we have to show that the site is particularly suitable. What does that mean? We have to show that the site is particularly suitable to the use and also to distinguish it from properties in the immediate area. Now I'm going to talk about that first. When you take a look at our property, while there happens to be a property next door that kind of looks like ours because it's a flag lot, that is actually located in the NC zone. We're the only lot in this location that's located in the RA zone on the north side of Valley that has this type of configuration and is this large. And also is encumbered by the floodplain regulations, as was discussed by our engineer and also our architect. So when we talk about particular site suitability, we really wouldn't want to be putting a house on this. And typically, this is considered to be a flag lot. Typically, it's discouraged to put residences on flag lots. It does exist throughout the state of New Jersey. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've seen it before. However, it's typically discouraged. So how are you going to make productive use of this property? The applicant who's already using the site for essentially now outdoor storage of things like jet skis and lawn equipment and the like, now wishes to provide a residential garage to store everything inside so it's not basically open to the elements, if you will. So I think that we meet the particular suitability for the D1 variance. I also believe that we promote a few of the purposes of the municipal land use law. One would be providing adequate light, air, and open space. We do meet all the bulk regulations that are associated with the RA zone for this application and the building of the structure on the site. So we're not going to impact anyone's adequate light and open space, which is purpose C. I'm also going to go with the efficient use of land, as well as providing sufficient space in appropriate locations for a variety of uses, including residential, and according to the respective environmental requirements. It was testified to earlier that we will be building this structure according to the floodplain regulations that are required, as our architect discussed. In terms of the negative criteria, we have to prove that there's no substantial detriment to the public good, no substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of your zone plan and zoning ordinance. Now, I would advocate that in terms of the public good, I think this is actually a betterment to the public good because most of the stuff that is now outdoors is going to be stored indoors, so people don't have to look at it, particularly the neighbor. And I do understand there will be cars coming and going from the site, but that's typical for any residential property. There are cars that come and go from the site. In terms of, is there any substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of your zone plan, we have to follow the Medici case. So I have to reconcile to you why this use is omitted from the zone. Technically, it's not omitted from the zone, it's just omitted as a principal use. But we are also located right next to the NC zone. We are basically a buffer lot, if you will, located in the RA zone. And obviously, in any zoning ordinance, I don't think I've ever seen a residential garage as a principal use. But I think we have a unique situation here that warrants this type of use, particularly with regard to the floodplain regulations. So with that said, I don't believe there's substantial impairment to your zone plan and zoning ordinance, and therefore I do believe that we meet both the positive and the negative criteria for the granting of the use variance this evening.
Thank you. No further questions.
Are there any members of the board that would like to question Ms. Gregory's testimony? Mr. Johnson?
You stated that the cars that are on the lot now will be put into the garage. Are all the vehicles gas-powered or any of them electric?
Oh, that I have no idea. I'm not,
She's the
and I
planner.
didn't state that all of the cars would be in the garage, but I said, basically, there's stuff, like you're not obviously driving a jet ski or driving lawn equipment every day. Things of that nature are gonna be inside the storage garage for, on a more permanent basis. Cars may be going to and from the site, but they also obviously might park inside the building, especially when there's inclement weather.
That's what testimony was, that there would be vehicles
Yes.
stored in there.
Yes, so
My question-
it's gas cars.
All right.
Right now, there's a total of 3 cars that are outside, and he'll park 1 or 2 inside with all his stuff. Maybe 1 will be kept outside, but just like a normal residential garage.
Okay. The only reason I asked is because if you ever decided to go electric, you can't put an electric charger
Correct.
inside the garage.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other board questions?
Well, this is Rob Pansul, the board attorney. As the planner, you would agree, you were here for the earlier testimony, some of the conditions and limits that we put on make sense from a planning perspective, in your opinion,
Yes.
as the expert, including the fire department follow-up, because that's something I think Mr. Johnson, if it,
Obviously, safety is like the utmost concern, so if we're gonna go towards purpose A, just when you saw public health, safety, and home welfare, then obviously we do have to consider safety in our application.
right, no commercial access, no problem not having the handicap spot because there's not going to be public access.
We would have to come back to a different type of- I'm sorry. We would have to, I couldn't see him, so I'm sorry about that. We would have to come back for a different type of application if this was going to be a commercial use. And obviously, I'm sure that the neighbors would probably be right on top of us if we were utilizing the property, not according to the resolution of approval, if the board was so inclined to grant us a approval.
Yeah, no, that's why the car carrier raised an eyebrow of the code official. So yes, I agree with that 100%. But it's important to get it on the record, so I wanted you as the expert to acknowledge that, so I'm going to put it in the record. And Natasha, one of the things we could do with fire, to even address some of the comments we're hearing, both Mr. Johnson and other board members, make sure they're comfortable with whatever fire prevention, there must be some ability to fight an electric fire even if it becomes necessary. So that could be the hydrant, I guess, is far away, but there might be some kind of temporary stanchions or something they could put inside that will help fight a fire if they need to. But we'll leave that to the fire department.
Okay.
Any other board questions? Hearing none, are there any members of the public that would like to come forward and question Ms. Gregory's testimony? Hearing none, I'm going to open it up to the public now. At this time, we're going to open the meeting up to the public. At this time, would anybody like to come forward and make a comment on this application? Hearing none. Counselor, would you like to make a closing remark?
Yes, thank you. As you heard from our professionals, we are seeking to construct a 2,400 square foot residential garage. Nothing commercial will be there. It's simply just for the applicant's personal private use. Like I said, no commercial, no hazardous materials will be there. Yes, there will be gasoline in cars and stuff like that, but that's normal in a residential garage. Again, we are seeking a D1 use variance, and as you heard from our professionals, we provide the justification for the use variance, and we will comply with all of Collier's reports and the conditions listed on the resolution if this was to be adopted tonight. And before I close up, can I have Rob, please, can you redo the, restate all the conditions so I can have them all down, please?
Wow, I didn't know there was going to be a test, so yes, I could do that.
I just want to make sure I have it written.
Reading my own notes and my handprints here. This is, it's not going to be a commercial use, as you noted, and it's going to be limited to a structure for the use of the adjacent residential property owner to store things. No other characterization, no repairs, no details of beyond a simple glorified garage, as it were. No plumbing, and also no heat. Lighting and communication subject to code, and the ability to comply with the Collier's letter dated May 6th of 2025, with the exception, and we'll note, and the board, I assume, has no problem, it was recommended by Mr. Manguso, to add grant waivers to the applicant for the ADA parking space, which makes sense both legally and I think from a code standpoint, since it's not going to have commercial access. And we're going to defer the analysis of the sprinkler part of the fire comments. There are other fire comments, so we'll collectively have you guys being the applicant, whether it's through Natasha, your office, or through your architect, whoever, to have the fire department put its impetus back on its comments, because they ask, in addition to the sprinkler, the alarm and some of the other knockbox and details which are typical. If it's not required, it's not required now that they know what's going in there. So we'll wait to hear back from them. But an approval would be subject to a favorable response from the fire department in that regard.
Thank you. With that being said, with all the conditions, we hope that you guys can approve this application. Thank you.
All right, at this time, I believe the board can conference this. Ms. Martins, would you like to begin this evening?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't see this as a negative impact to the site. This is definitely an improvement to the current site, making the garage and the storage more organized for the site. So the site is definitely well suited for this use, so I will be voting yes.
Mr. Johnson?
I too agree, and as long as stipulations, especially from the fire department, are worked on, I will vote yes also, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bentavegna?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the testimony tonight justifies the variance. I was a little concerned with the neighbor addressing this car carrier stuff, and I'm glad that we got to resolve that it was just for temporary use only. She did say she didn't mind having the garage there. I think the rendering is beautiful and is a nice upgrade. As long as we comply with the fire, I see no problem with this application, so I'll be voting yes.
Ms. Scott?
Good evening. I thought the rendering looked very nice. I also thought that some of the comments about the fire and what's going to go in the garage kind of were a little disturbing. So, I mean, I'm going to go along with my colleagues on this, but I'm definitely concerned and would hope that, you guys follow the rules and regulations that, some of the conditions that were here. So I'll be voting yes.
Ms. Ricketts?
I too agree with my colleagues. I too agree with my colleagues that this is a clean application. It doesn't cause any harm. It actually puts the things and items in the garage, so I'll be voting yes.
And Mr. McNeil?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to thank the professionals for their testimony this evening. And I did not notice any appreciable detriments in the application or on the testimony. The site seems to be suitable for the proposed use, and I too will be voting yes.
Thank you. As for myself, I see no problem with this application. I see no negative impact on the neighbors. and the variance I feel is justified because the property is well suited for the proposed use. As stated by Ms. Gregory, I believe both the positive and negative criteria has been justified. So I too will vote yes for this application. May I have a motion and a second?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board grant the variance applicable to this application and that council is directed to prepare a resolution consistent with the board's decision.
Second the motion?
Roll call?
Ms. Martins?
Yes.
Mr. Bentavegana?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. McNeil?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts?
Yes.
And Mr. Champy?
Yes.
June 25th is the regular meeting night of the board. We'll present the resolution for adoption.
Mr. Chairman, there being no further business coming before the board, I move that we adjourn.
Second the motion?
All in favor? Opposed? So moved.